Hi, I'm Andrew Walsh, librarian at Sinclair Community College, and in my videos, I've been showing how to avoid fake news by taking a few specific actions to evaluate website sources. We've talked about investigating a source using tools like Wikipedia and Google, but there are also two other important habits that both involve digging into the actual claims that a source makes. These are to find better sources and to trace claims back to their original context. So let's take a look at a couple of examples to illustrate. So let's say that I land on this website. It makes an interesting claim that there was snow in the Sahara Desert. So I may be first thinking, what is this site I'm on and should I trust it? Kind of the more I look around, it seems fairly questionable. And to take that first step to investigate the source, I could go out to Wikipedia and Google to see what I can find out about this source. But in this case, I don't really have to. This website is making a particular claim, something I'm not positive if it's true. But if it is true, other places will be talking about it too. So what I want to do is just a regular Google search for the claim itself. So snow, Sahara Desert, and see what comes up. So perhaps somewhat surprisingly, this does appear to be true. So if I scroll past these videos and these kind of automated questions, I get to the actual search results and I see names like NPR, the BBC, actually a fact-checking website that looked into this particular claim already. So I could take advantage of the work that they did to research it. I see more trustworthy names like CNN and the Washington Post. So here I am finding better coverage, getting away from what is probably a much less trustworthy source in favor of something else. So this CNN teaser sounds like it's probably an informative article, so I'm going to go there instead. And I think this is a very important lesson for being information literate today. In my work as a librarian, I get students fixated on those random blogs they come across. They'll ask me, can I use this? Is this a credible source for my topic? But they're usually just using it for a specific claim. And if they just search the web for a better source, like we just did, they'd be done in 30 seconds and know for sure they have a credible source. I think it's that action of searching that sounds like it's more work than it really is. And I'm hoping that my videos can help show how quick and easy it really can be, and also help you start to build that habit. So let's move to the final step. And if we remember, that was to trace claims back to the original source. So what does that mean? So your source is not usually the original context for what it is saying. Websites, even trustworthy ones, report on things that happened somewhere else first. That original source might be an interview, it might be a scholarly study, it might just be a video or a photo of something that happened. So always try to go to that original source, because this helps ensure that you aren't getting the bias, spin, or personal take that secondary sources often introduce. That kind of thing is sometimes done intentionally to mislead you, or it may just be someone leaving out a relevant detail or some context for whatever reason. Reporting and re-reporting can be like a game of telephone where the real message gets lost along the way. So let's look at some more examples. Take me a second to get the web browser back up. So now let's say that I hit this website, and you can see this is a website, it's an article on the Huffington Post. And I picked that for a reason, because if we chose to investigate this source, we'd find that a lot of the Huffington Post reporting is fairly high quality, but it also publishes a lot of more opinion or blog type content that should be evaluated a little more carefully. So if we really wanted to investigate the source, we could have a nice long discussion about the intricacies of the credibility of the Huffington Post. And since I'm a teaching librarian, I'd probably actually enjoy that. But for you right now, I want to save you time. So instead, let's go to the original source. And if we read this article a little bit, the details don't matter too much for us right now. What the key is to notice that this whole article is really just reporting on an article that was written in the Washington Post. So basically, we want to leave this source. We don't need to look up the reporter or really dig into the Huffington Post. We want to just go to that original source. That's where I get the story from the source without as much interpretation or spin. And in this case, you can see the link is clickable. So that makes my job quite easy. So we can just open it up and we will be on that original source. Sometimes if you don't get a nice easy link like that, you may get a phrase that you can Google, or you may get the name of a research article that you can then search through your library's website. But I think people who are in a rush or who get fixated on that first source they find often don't even really notice that these are links, or they don't even consider this idea of going out from a source to a more trustworthy source, even when it's right there in front of them. And like all the habits I'm trying to get across, it can be fast and easy. Let's look at another example, and it's also from the Huffington Post. So this particular article is making a specific claim, or it's talking about a key fact of something that has to do with campaign spending. So if I go down here and I hover over some of these links, you will see that, drum roll, they take you to the original source, the actual documents filed with the Federal Election Commission. So this example illustrates another point. So if I click on that, I'll end up here. I think the point that this also illustrates is that you want to be going from step to step in that SIFT framework. It's not like a checklist or an ordered list. So right here, I would want to stop and kind of reconsider my main goal. So if I'm just trying to get a basic understanding of something or read an interesting story, then really just checking the credibility of the author and the publication are probably all that I really need. But if I'm doing something for like my own research or something that's a really important issue in my own life, then it probably is worth it to trace claims in a little more detail to verify them. So in this case, actually looking at the campaign finance documents here. Otherwise, if it was just a more casual interest of mine, I probably wouldn't need to spend the time digging through here. But it is crucial to know that I can get to that data, and that I should if it's something that is truly important to me. I'm going to do one final example to help reinforce why it can be so crucial to go to the original source. So let's take this tweet right here that says it might be time to ditch the sunscreen, and links out to some source that's talking about an FDA warning about chemicals in sunscreen. Now, the FDA is definitely a trustworthy source. So we click through here, and you can tell I'm not actually anywhere having to do with the FDA itself. Looks like I'm on some sort of parenting blog. But it refers down here to a study that they're reporting on that was published in a particular medical journal. So again, I'd want to click that link to try to get to that original study. If I do that, in this case, what I see is a little surprising. So I'm not actually on a journal website. I'm actually on CNN. So this is another news source, not the original source, but oh well, at least this is closer to the original source than I was before. And this is definitely a more trustworthy publisher. So if I was, doing this, I would really want to take a look at this instead of the previous article. And crucially, this is, as I read this, I will learn that what the study is really saying is just that there may need to be more studies done or additional regulation for some of these chemicals. It's not a warning for everyday people. And most importantly, it comes right out and says, should you stop using sunscreen? Absolutely not. Says that people need to continue to be aggressive about sun protection and to continue using sunscreen. So this wasn't really a finding that's supposed to throw into question the idea of this. And it turns out that the actual story is the exact opposite of what that first tweet said. And then that first blog was just kind of taking quotes from a different news article about the study while leaving important things out. So again, to think about stopping and deciding what my purpose is here, I think my work is pretty much done in this case. I don't think I'll gain much more from reading that original study since it's come right out and kind of summarized it for me here. But in other cases, if I was particularly interested in these, FDA studies, maybe it would be worth going out to that original study. So I think this is a good example to pull together a lot of these concepts we've talked about. It shows the idea of investigating source authority, of finding better coverage, of getting to the original source. I hope that these habits help make verifying information online a little easier for you. Thank you.